A werewolf shifter romance audiobook written by Michael. Hey wild hearts. What happens when sworn enemies can't keep their claws, or their eyes, off each other? When the alpha you're supposed to hate is the only one who makes your wolf howl. Welcome to Blood Moon Rivals, where pack loyalty collides with forbidden desire, and the line between enemy and mate is dangerously thin. Chapter 1. The scent hit Kira Blackthorn before she saw him. Pine and midnight frost, wrapped in arrogance thick enough to choke on. She bared her teeth, her wolf surging beneath her skin as she stepped through the ancient oak boundary that divided Blackthorn territory from Silvercrest. The full moon hung heavy overhead, bathing the clearing in silver light, and there he stood, waiting. Damien Silvercrest, alpha of the enemy pack, killer of her cousin. The wolf who had sworn her family would never know peace. You're on the wrong side of the line, Blackthorn. His voice was dark honey and steel, his golden eyes tracking her every movement like she was prey. Like he hadn't just violated the treaty by hunting on her land. That's rich coming from the wolf, whose pack just slaughtered a deer 3 miles into my territory. Kira stopped 10 feet away, close enough to see the blood still staining his hands, far enough to avoid the magnetic pull that made her wolf pace restlessly. But I suppose theft runs in Silvercrest blood. His jaw tightened, a muscle jumping beneath sun-bronzed skin. He was infuriatingly beautiful, all sharp angles and controlled power, dark hair falling across his forehead, broad shoulders that spoke of brutal strength. Everything about him screamed alpha, and everything about her screamed to challenge him. Careful, little wolf. He took a step forward, and the temperature seemed to drop. Accusations require proof. I have your hunters sent all over the kill site. She crossed her arms, refusing to retreat even as her pulse quickened. And unless Silvercrest has suddenly forgotten the treaty your father signed in blood 20 years ago, you owe me a formal apology and reparations. Damien laughed, but there was no humor in it. My father's mistakes aren't mine to honor. That treaty died with him. The words hit like a physical blow. Kira's nails lengthened into claws, her wolf demanding she tear out his throat for the insult. The treaty had brought peace after decades of bloodshed. Her parents had died believing in it. Then we have nothing left to discuss. She turned, every instinct screaming at her not to show her back to a predator. We have everything to discuss. His voice followed her, low and dangerous. The council convenes in 3 days. They're invoking the ancient laws, forcing our packs to merge or face exile from all territories. Kira froze. Slowly, she turned back to face him, certain she'd misheard. What? You heard me. Damien's expression was carved from stone, but something flickered in those golden eyes. Anger, frustration, and beneath it, worry. Some genius decided our constant border disputes are destabilizing the entire region. Either we unite under one alpha, or both packs lose everything. That's insane. Her mind raced. Merge with Silvercrest? She'd rather eat silver. The council can't. They can. And they will. He closed the distance between them in 3 long strides, and suddenly they were close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body, could see the amber flecks in his eyes. Which means you and I have 72 hours to figure out how to pretend we don't want to kill each other. I don't have to pretend. The words came out breathless, betrayed by the way her wolf was reacting to his proximity, not with aggression, but with something far more dangerous. Interest. Want. His nostrils flared, and she knew he'd scented the shift in her chemistry. A slow, predatory smile curved his lips. Liar. She should step back. Should snarl and slash and remind him exactly why Blackthorn wolves were not to be trifled with. Instead, she held her ground, tilting her chin up in defiance even as her heart hammered against her ribs. Stay off my territory, Silvercrest. Make me, Blackthorn. The challenge hung between them, electric and dangerous. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Kira spun and ran, shifting mid-stride into her wolf form. Midnight black with silver-tipped ears, built for speed and fury. But as she raced back toward her pack house, She couldn't shake the feeling of golden eyes watching her retreat, or the terrifying realization that some part of her had wanted to stay. Chapter 2. The Blackthorn pack house was in chaos when Kira arrived, still breathing hard from her run. Tell me it's not true. Her beta, Marcus, met her at the door, his gray eyes frantic. Tell me the council hasn't lost their minds. Kira shifted back, grateful when Marcus tossed her a robe. It's true. We have 3 days before they make their decision. Then we fight. Her Aunt Vera appeared from the main hall, silver hair braided in the traditional warrior style despite her 60 years. We've survived worse than council politics. Have we? Kira moved past them into the meeting room, where the rest of her senior wolves waited. 12 faces, all loyal, all looking to her for answers she didn't have. Aunt Vera, you remember what happened to the Frost River pack when they defied the council? Silence. They all remembered. Frost River had been scattered to the winds, their alpha executed, their territory absorbed by neighboring packs. It had been a brutal reminder of the council's power. So, what do you suggest? Marcus asked quietly. That we bow to Silvercrest? After everything they've done? What they've done? A new voice cut through the tension, and Kira's wolf bristled before she even turned around. Damien Silvercrest stood in her doorway, in her pack house, flanked by 2 of his own wolves. The sheer audacity made her see red. How dare you? Your beta invited us. Damien's gaze swept the room, assessing, calculating. We need to talk. All of us. Kira shot a furious look at Marcus, who had the decency to look apologetic. He sent a formal request under council law. I couldn't refuse without giving them grounds to rule against us. Damien moved into the room like he owned it, his wolves remaining at the door. Let's start with facts. The council meets in 3 days. They'll demand we present a unified leadership structure or face dissolution. That means 1 alpha, 1 pack, 1 territory. You mean you want to take everything we've built? Vera's voice could cut glass. I want to keep my pack from becoming refugees. Damien's response was surprisingly sharp. Don't mistake this for a power grab, Elder. I'm not thrilled about merging with the pack that killed my father. The room erupted. Wolves surged to their feet, snarling, shouting. Kira felt her control slipping as the accusations flew. Your father died in a challenge you provoked. Enough. Kira's command cracked like a whip, pulling every wolf's attention back to her. Her alpha presence filled the space, demanding submission. When silence fell, she turned to Damien, whose own power pressed against hers like a physical force. You're right. We need to talk. But not here. Not with our packs ready to tear each other apart. Something that might have been respect flickered across his features. Neutral ground. The old stone circle. 1 hour. Just us. Damien nodded slowly, and Kira tried to ignore how the gesture felt less like agreement and more like conspiracy. Like they were already becoming something her pack wouldn't understand. 1 hour, he agreed, and left without another word. Marcus waited until the door closed before rounding on her. You can't trust him, Kira. Whatever he's planning. I know. She did know. Every instinct to warn her that Damien Silvercrest was dangerous. But as she watched through the window as he disappeared into the forest, she couldn't shake the memory of how he'd looked at her under the moonlight. Like she was the enemy. Like she was something more. The stone circle had stood for centuries, long before any pack had claimed these mountains. Neutral ground, sacred ground, where ancient wolves had once gathered under the full moon to settle disputes without bloodshed. Kira arrived first, checking the perimeter out of habit. The 12 standing stones cast long shadows in the afternoon sun, and the grass grew thick and untamed, marked only by the paths worn by countless paws over countless years. Punctual. Damien's voice came from behind her, and she cursed herself for not hearing his approach. I like that. She turned to find him alone, hands shoved in his pockets, looking less like an alpha and more like just a man. It was unsettling. Let's skip the pleasantries, she said, moving to stand beside one of the stones. What do you really want? Besides for this nightmare to be over? He leaned against the opposite stone, and the casual posture should have been disrespectful, but somehow wasn't. I want the same thing you do. To protect my pack. By absorbing mine. By surviving. His eyes flashed gold. Don't pretend you're naive, Kira. You know how this works? The Council is forcing integration because our constant fighting is making us weak. While we waste resources on border disputes, other regions are growing stronger. We're becoming a liability. She hated that he was right. So, what's your solution? I bend the knee and call you Alpha? God, no. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every line of his body. Do you think I want to deal with Blackthorn wolves who'd slit my throat the first chance they got? I need a partner, not a conquest. A partner. The word tasted strange. You want a co-lead? The Council will never accept it. Ancient laws require one alpha per territory. He pushed off the stone, pacing. Unless what? Damien stopped, turning to face her fully. His expression was carefully neutral, but she caught the calculation beneath. Unless we give them something they can't refuse. A bond they can't question. Understanding hit like cold water. No. Hear me out. Absolutely not. Kira backed up, her wolf snarling in her mind. You're suggesting we what? Fake a mating bond? Pretend to be. Not fake. His voice dropped, intimate and dangerous. A political alliance. A marriage of alphas. It's been done before in the old times. Two leaders, united by choice, ruling as equals. That's insane. That's survival. He closed the distance between them again, and she was starting to hate how he could do that, move into her space without it feeling like an invasion. Think about it, Kira. We present a united front. Co-alphas, bound by mate right, leading a merged pack. The Council gets their integration, both our packs keep their identities, and neither of us has to submit to the other. Her mind raced through the implications. It could work. Ancient law recognized mate bonds as sacred. Two wolves bound that way had equal claim to leadership. But we're enemies, she said flatly. We hate each other. Do we? He tilted his head, studying her with unnerving intensity. Or do we just think we're supposed to? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and danger. Kira's wolf prowled restlessly, confused by the conflicting signals. Enemy, alpha, threat, something else entirely. This is crazy, she whispered. I know. Damien's smile was sharp and wild and entirely too appealing. But you're considering it. I can see it in your eyes. Damn him. She was. 3 days, she said finally. We have 3 days to figure out if this could even work. If I think for 1 second you're trying to manipulate me or undermine my pack. Same goes for you, Blackthorn. But his eyes gleamed with something that looked dangerously like victory. Should we seal it with a handshake? Or would that be too civilized? Before she could respond, a howl split the air. Urgent, terrified, from the direction of Blackthorn territory. Both alphas moved instantly, shifting mid-run, racing toward the sound of their packs in danger. Together. Chapter 3. They found the carnage at the eastern border. Kira shifted back first, her stomach turning at the sight. 3 Blackthorn wolves down, bloodied but alive. And standing over them, looking equally battered, were 2 Silvercrest hunters. What happened? Damien's voice was lethal as he shifted beside her, his power rolling out in waves. Rogues. One of the Blackthorn wolves, Jordan, barely 20, gasped the word. At least 8 of them. They hit us from nowhere, like they knew exactly where we'd be. They knew because someone told them. The Silvercrest hunter, a scarred female named Lissa, spat blood. We were tracking the same group when they ambushed us. Someone set us both up. Kira exchanged a sharp look with Damien. Rogues attacking both packs simultaneously wasn't coincidence. This was orchestrated. Can you track them? She asked Lissa. Lost the scent at the river. But Lissa hesitated, her gaze flicking between the 2 alphas. They were asking about you. Both of you. Wanted to know where you were, when you'd be alone. Ice slid down Kira's spine. Someone knew we were meeting. Someone wants us dead. Damien's expression was grim. Or at least wants to make sure we never present a unified front to the council. Marcus came crashing through the trees, his wolf form massive and gray. He shifted in a rush of power, taking in the scene with sharp eyes. We need to get them back. He stopped, staring at Damien. What's he doing here? Saving your pack members' lives, Damien said coolly. We heard the howl. We came together. How convenient. Marcus. Kira's tone was sharp. Help Jordan. Now. Her beta's jaw tightened, but he moved to obey. As he and the other Blackthorn wolves limped away, Kira turned to Damien's hunters. You two okay to make it back? Lissa nodded, though her movements were careful. We'll manage. But, Alpha. She addressed Damien with the respect of a long-time pack member. If someone's targeting you both, this merge just got a lot more complicated. Or a lot more necessary, Damien replied quietly. When they were alone again, Kira let out a shaky breath. The adrenaline was fading, leaving exhaustion and too many questions in its wake. This wasn't random, she said. No. Damien was already moving, studying the trampled grass, the blood patterns, the direction of the attack. This was professional. Coordinated. Whoever hired those rogues has resources. And doesn't want us working together. Kira crouched beside a torn piece of fabric, not pack-made. Foreign. The question is why? Who benefits from our packs staying divided? Everyone who wants to see us weakened. He straightened, frustration evident in the tight set of his shoulders. The council, if they're being pressured to absorb our territories themselves. Neighboring packs looking to expand. Hell, even wolves within our own ranks who'd rather die free than live under a merged pack. The last possibility made her wolf snarl. My wolves are loyal. Are they? Damien's gaze was penetrating. All of them? Even the ones who lost family to Silvercrest? Even your aunt, who was there when my father died? She wanted to argue. Couldn't. What about your wolves? She countered. You sure none of them would rather see me dead than accept a Blackthorn as co-alpha? No. His honesty startled her. I'm not sure at all. Which means we have enemies on multiple fronts and 3 days to figure out who we can trust. Great. Kira stood, brushing dirt from her knees. So we have a psychotic rogue pack, our own wolves who might betray us, and a council deadline. This plan just keeps getting better. Damien's mouth quirked in what might have been amusement. Welcome to alpha politics. Despite everything, the danger, the chaos, the absolute insanity of what they were contemplating, Kira felt a surprised laugh bubble up. Is it always this fun? Only on good days. He moved closer, and this time when her wolf stirred, it wasn't entirely in warning. We need to act fast. Announce the alliance before whoever's behind this can make another move. That's suicide. Our packs will riot. They'll adapt. His confidence was infuriating and somehow reassuring at once. Wolves respect strength. If we present a unified front, show them we're serious about this, they'll follow. You make it sound simple. It's not. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away and caught her wrist. His thumb pressed against her pulse point, and she knew he could feel how it raced. But I think we can pull it off. If we trust each other. I don't trust you. I know. His smile was crooked, dangerous, entirely too attractive. But you want to. I can see it. Same way I want to trust you, even though everything I've been taught says you're the enemy. The admission hung between them, raw and honest. Kira's wolf paced, restless, drawn to his strength even as her mind screamed warnings. This is insane, she said for what felt like the 100th time. Probably. Damien's grip on her wrist loosened, became almost gentle. But I'd rather be insane together than dead apart. A twig snapped in the forest behind them. Both alphas spun, instincts screaming danger. But the trees remained still, the forest silent except for the wind. We're being watched, Kira whispered. I know. Damien's voice was barely audible. Play along. Before she could ask what he meant, he pulled her close, not roughly, but with unmistakable intent. His hand slid to the small of her back, and suddenly they were pressed together, his heat soaking through her clothes, his scent wrapping around her like smoke. "What are you?" "Whoever's out there needs to believe we're serious," he murmured against her ear, and the words sent shivers down her spine. "Needs to think we're already bonding. That attacking us won't stop this." It made sense. Perfect tactical sense. But the way her body responded to his proximity had nothing to do with tactics and everything to do with the inconvenient truth her wolf kept trying to tell her. She didn't hate Damien Silvercrest. She wanted him. "Fine," she breathed, tilting her face up to his. "Let's give them a show." His eyes flashed gold, wolf rising to meet hers. For a heartbeat, she thought he might actually kiss her, thought she might let him. Then he smiled, slow and wicked, and stepped back. "That's enough for now," he said, voice carrying to whoever watched. "We should get back to our packs. Prepare them for tomorrow's announcement." Kira blinked, off balance from the sudden distance. "Tomorrow?" "Tomorrow," he confirmed. "At sunset, the stone circle. We tell them together." And then he was gone, shifting and running, leaving her alone with racing thoughts and a wolf that wouldn't stop howling for more. Chapter 4. The pack house felt like a powder keg waiting to explode. Kira had called a full assembly, every Blackthorn wolf, from the youngest pup to the eldest elder. They filled the main hall, standing room only, tension so thick it could choke. "Before we begin," Kira said from her position at the head of the room, "I need you all to understand something. What I'm about to tell you will be difficult to hear. Some of you will be angry. Some will feel betrayed." She met her aunt's eyes across the crowd. "But I need you to trust that everything I do is for this pack's survival." "Get on with it," someone shouted from the back. Kira took a breath. "The council's ultimatum gives us 3 choices. Submit to Silvercrest, watch them submit to us, or face exile. All 3 options end in the destruction of one or both packs." Angry mutters rippled through the crowd. "Unless," she continued, "we take a 4th option. One the ancient laws provide for." Marcus stepped forward, concern written across his features. "Kira, what are you?" "I'm taking a mate." The words landed like stones in still water. "Damien Silvercrest has agreed to a political alliance. We will bond as co-alphas and present a unified pact to the council." For 3 seconds, there was absolute silence. Then chaos erupted. Wolves were shouting, shifting, snarling. Her aunt's face had gone white with rage. Marcus looked like she'd stabbed him. And through the crowd, Kira could see the real divide. Those who were horrified, and a smaller group who looked calculating. Considering. "You can't." Vera's voice cut through the noise. "After everything Silvercrest has done, your parents would never." "My parents are dead." The words came out harsher than Kira intended, and the room stilled. "They died protecting a treaty that fell apart the moment they were gone. I won't let their sacrifice be for nothing, and I won't watch this pack scatter because of old grudges." "So, you'll sell yourself to the enemy instead?" The accusation came from Thomas, one of her father's oldest friends. "I'm saving us." Kira forced herself to meet each pair of eyes. "Damien and I will rule as equals. Blackthorn doesn't disappear, it evolves. We become something stronger. Or you become his puppet." Marcus's voice was quiet, devastated. "Kira, you can't trust him. He's playing you." "Maybe." She wouldn't lie to them. "But I'd rather take that risk than guarantee our destruction." "When?" Vera's question was cold. "Tonight. Sunset. The stone circle. Silvercrest will be there too. We're making the announcement together." "And if we refuse to accept this?" Kira's wolf rose to the surface, lending steel to her voice. "Then you're free to leave. I'm your alpha, but I won't force anyone to follow this path. Just know that if you leave with nothing. This territory, this pack, it stays." The threat was clear. Accept the merge or go rogue. One by one, wolves began to lower their eyes. Even Vera, furious as she was, couldn't challenge an alpha's direct order without issuing a formal challenge. Only Marcus held her gaze. "I hope you know what you're doing." "So do I," Kira whispered back. The stone circle at sunset was hauntingly beautiful. Both packs had gathered, Blackthorn on one side, Silvercrest on the other, with the ancient stones marking the boundary between them. Kira could feel the hostility, like heat from a fire. Could see her wolves eyeing Damien's with barely contained aggression. Damien arrived exactly at sunset, flanked by his own senior wolves. He wore black, formal, every inch the alpha. When his eyes found hers across the clearing, something electric passed between them. This was it. No going back. They met in the center between the largest stones, in full view of both packs. "You clean up nice," Damien murmured, quiet enough that only she could hear. "Don't get used to it." But she couldn't quite keep the edge of nervous humor from her voice. "Your pack looks ready to murder me. Yours look ready to murder me more." His smile was slight, genuine. "Shall we?" Kira turned to face the assembled wolves. "You all know why we're here. The council has given us 3 days to present a unified leadership or face dissolution. Damien and I have chosen a different path." "A better path," Damien continued, his voice carrying. "Our packs have been enemies for too long. That ends tonight. We stand before you not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals, as partners, as mates," Kira said, and heard the sharp intake of breath from both sides. "By ancient law, we claim the right of alpha bonding. 2 leaders, 1 pack, united in purpose." "This is a betrayal," someone from the Silvercrest side shouted, a young wolf with scars across his face. "Alpha, she killed your father." "My father died in a challenge." Damien's voice turned cold. "As is our way. Do you question the sacred rites?" The young wolf subsided, but the damage was done. Mutters of agreement rippled through Silvercrest. Kira felt her temper flare. "I didn't kill anyone. Your previous alpha issued challenge to my father over a border dispute. They fought. My father won. That's the law. A law that benefited Blackthorn. A law that's kept us all from total chaos." Kira's alpha power flooded out, demanding attention. "How many more have to die before we admit this feud is destroying us? How many pups grow up without parents because we're too proud to seek peace?" Silence fell, heavy and considering. Damien stepped closer to her, close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. "This isn't surrender. It's evolution. The world is changing. Packs that can't adapt will be swept aside. Alone, we're weak. Together, we're unstoppable." "Pretty words," Vera called out. "But how do we know this isn't a trick? How do we know the moment we let our guard down, Silvercrest won't strike?" "You don't," Damien answered honestly. "Same way I don't know Blackthorn won't betray us the first chance you get. Trust has to start somewhere. We're choosing to start here." He turned to Kira, extending his hand. In it glinted a silver cuff, traditional, etched with moonlight runes. "A bonding gift. Kira Blackthorn," he said, formal and ancient. "I offer you my strength, my loyalty, and my pack. Will you run beside me?" Her heart hammered. This was the moment. Once she accepted, there was no going back. The bond wouldn't be complete, not without the actual mating, but this public declaration would bind them in the eyes of both packs. She pulled her own gift from her pocket, a matching cuff, black steel etched with forest patterns. "Damien Silvercrest, I offer you my strength, my loyalty, and my pack. Will you hunt beside me?" "I will. I will." They exchanged cuffs, snapping them onto each other's wrists. The metal was cold against Kira's skin, but where Damien's fingers brushed her pulse, there was heat. Power surged between them, recognizable, undeniable. The beginning of a bond. Both packs felt it. Kira heard gasps, saw eyes widen. The alpha bond was sacred, witnessed by the moon herself. To break it now would be to violate the most fundamental laws of their kind. "It's done," Damien said quietly, but his words carried. "We are bound. Blackthorn and Silvercrest are now one pack." "Blood Moon Pack," Kira added, the name coming to her instinctively. "We are Blood Moon." For a long moment no one moved. Then Marcus stepped forward, crossing the invisible line between the packs. He knelt, head bowed, the traditional gesture of Beta accepting Alpha. I follow, he said, voice rough with emotion. One by one, other wolves followed. Some from Blackthorn, some from Silvercrest, coming forward to kneel. Not all of them, Kira noted, who stayed back, who looked mutinous, but enough. Enough to make this real. As the last of the light faded and the full moon rose overhead, Kira felt the weight of what they'd done settle over her like a mantle. She'd bound herself to the enemy. And heaven help her, some part of her was glad. Later, after the formal declarations were done and the packs had dispersed into uneasy integration, Damien found her alone by the largest stone. That went better than I expected, he said. Really? I was expecting an open rebellion. Kira traced the silver cuff on her wrist, still adjusting to its weight. Give them time. He leaned against the stone beside her, and in the moonlight, his profile was almost gentle. They'll come around. Or they won't. Either way, we move forward. Together. The word felt strange on her tongue. Together. He glanced at her, something unreadable in his expression. For what it's worth, you were magnificent tonight. I almost believed we could make this work. Almost. I'm a pessimist. But his smile suggested otherwise. We should talk about sleeping arrangements. Kira's eyes widened. What? Not like that. Though his grin turned wicked. Yet. But the bond won't be believable if we're living in separate territory. We need to be seen together, acting like mates. Of course. She'd known this was coming. Didn't mean she was ready for it. Your place or mine? Neutral ground. The old Alpha house, the one that's been empty since the territory split. It's on the border. Both packs can access it. It made sense. Still felt like giving up too much ground. Fine, she agreed. When? Tomorrow. I'll have my wolves move our things. He pushed off the stone, preparing to leave, then paused. Kira? Yeah. For the record, I don't think this is going to be as terrible as either of us feared. And with that cryptic statement, he shifted and ran, leaving her alone with the moon and thoughts that wouldn't settle. Chapter 5. The old Alpha house sat on a hill overlooking the border between what used to be Blackthorn and Silvercrest territory. 3 stories of stone and timber, it had been built in a more optimistic time, when packs believed in lasting peace. Kira stood in what would be their bedroom and tried not to have a panic attack. It's bigger than I remember, Marcus said behind her, carrying in the last of her things. Marcus. She turned to face her beta. Are you going to tell me this is a mistake? Because if so, now would be the time. He set down the box and studied her with those steady gray eyes. Would you listen if I did? Probably not. Then, what's the point? But his expression softened. Kira, I've followed you since we were pups. I followed you when you challenged for Alpha at 19. I followed you through the border wars, the territory disputes, every impossible decision. This. He gestured around the room. This is just one more impossible thing. And you'll make it work, because that's what you do. Emotion clogged her throat. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I reserve the right to say I told you so if Silvercrest murders you in your sleep. He won't. The certainty in her voice surprised them both. He needs this as much as I do. Needing something and being trustworthy are different things. Marcus headed for the door, then paused. But for what it's worth, the way he looked at you tonight at the stone circle, that wasn't political calculation. Marcus. Just saying. Be careful, Kira. Not just of him. Of yourself. And then he was gone, leaving her alone with implications she wasn't ready to examine. Damien arrived an hour later with considerably less fanfare. Just him, a single duffel bag, and an expression that suggested he was having second thoughts of his own. Home sweet home, he said dryly, surveying the bedroom. I hope you don't snore. I hope you don't hog the blankets. Kira gestured to the bed, massive, old-fashioned, and currently the only piece of furniture in the room. We're really doing this. Cold feet. Frozen solid. She met his eyes. We just upended centuries of pack tradition. Combined 2 enemy territories. Bound ourselves together in front of everyone. And now we're supposed to what? Play house. Actually learn to coexist without killing each other would be a start. Damien dropped his bag on the floor and moved to the window, looking out over the merged territory. But yeah, we also need to convince everyone this is real. Which means dinners together. Pack runs together. Sleeping in the same bed.
Right.
Of course. Kira tried to sound casual and probably failed. Ground rules. He turned back, one eyebrow raised. Such as boundaries. You stay on your side of the bed, I'll stay on mine.
No.
Unexpected touching. Unexpected touching. His mouth curved in amusement. You mean like this? He crossed to her in 3 strides and caught her hand, pulling her close. Kira's breath caught as his other hand settled on her waist, warm and sure through the thin fabric of her shirt. What are you doing? Testing your limits. His voice dropped to a murmur. We're going to have to touch, Kira. A lot. Mates don't shy away from each other. If we flinch every time we're close, everyone will know this is a sham. He was right. She hated that he was right. Fine. She forced herself to relax, to lean into his touch instead of pulling away. But you could warn me. Where's the fun in that? But he gentled his grip, thumb tracing small circles on her hip. Besides, you're not exactly recoiling in horror. No, she wasn't. That was the problem. Her wolf was practically purring, and her body was responding to his proximity in ways that had nothing to do with political alliances.
This is weird, she said.
Incredibly weird. But he didn't step back. Want to know something weirder? I don't think I mind. The admission hung between them, dangerous and honest. Kira's pulse kicked up, and she knew he could feel it, could probably smell the shift in her chemistry. Damien. A howl split the night, urgent, afraid, coming from the western boundary. They broke apart instantly, instinct overriding everything else. Both shifted mid-run, racing down the stairs and out into the night. They found the patrol at the western marker, 3 wolves circling something on the ground. As Kira and Damien approached, the wolves parted, revealing a body.
Human. Male.
Throat torn out. Kira shifted back, her stomach churning. Who is he? Council messenger. One of the patrol wolves, Silvercrest, a scarred male named Reese, shifted to answer. He was carrying this. He held out a scroll, sealed with the council's mark. Already broken. Damien took it, scanning the contents. His expression went dark. They've moved up the deadline. We have until tomorrow night to present ourselves, or they're sending enforcers to stabilize the region. Tomorrow? Kira snatched the scroll. Sure enough, the words were clear. 24 hours. That's not enough time. It is if someone wants to ensure we fail. Damien crouched beside the body, examining the wounds. These aren't rogue bites. They're too clean, too precise. Kira saw what he meant. The killing blow was professional, efficient, an assassin. One with pack training. He stood, jaw tight. Someone didn't want this message to reach us on time. Wanted us to miss the deadline. But we got it anyway. Which means they'll try something else. Damien's eyes met hers across the body. We're not safe here. Not until we find out who's trying to sabotage this. Reese cleared his throat. Alpha, there's something else. We found tracks leading away from the body. 2 wolves, running north toward old Blackthorn hunting grounds. Kira's blood ran cold. That area's been abandoned for years. Nothing there but the old council meeting hall, Damien finished, where rebels used to gather during the territory wars. Understanding crashed over her. Someone was using the old rebel network. Someone from their past. We need to investigate, she said.
Now.
Agreed. Damien turned to Reese. Take the body to Marcus. Tell him to increase patrols and trust no one outside the inner circle. Then gather my best trackers and meet us at the northern border in 20 minutes. And send word to my Aunt Vera, Kira added. Tell her to lock down Blackthorn's eastern approach. If this is a coordinated attack, then they'll hit from multiple angles, Damien finished. Good thinking. They moved in sync, calling orders, organizing defenses. And somewhere in the back of her mind, Kira realized they were already acting like true partners. Like the bond between them was more than just political theater. Like, maybe Marcus had been right about the way Damien looked at her. The old meeting hall was exactly as Kira remembered, crumbling stone, overgrown with vines, half collapsed from years of neglect. It had been built during the territory wars as a secret gathering place for wolves who opposed the alpha hierarchy. Her father had ordered it abandoned when he took power. Now, as she and Damien crept through the shadows with 6 of their best wolves, she could see fresh tracks in the dirt. Someone had been here. Recently. Damien signaled for silence and they split into 2 groups, Kira leading 3 wolves around the back, Damien taking the front entrance. Her heart hammered as they moved through the ruins, every sense on high alert. The scent hit her first. Familiar. Impossible. She rounded a corner and froze. Sitting in the center of the ruined hall, calm as could be, was her Aunt Vera. And across from her, equally composed, sat Damien's second-in-command, a wolf named Garrett. Aunt Vera? Kira's voice came out strangled. What are you doing here? Vera stood slowly, her expression unreadable. What I should have done the moment you announced that foolish bond. Protecting this pack's true interests. Behind her, Kira heard Damien's wolves burst in through the front. Heard his sharp intake of breath as he saw Garrett. You're behind this, Damien said flatly. The attacks. The sabotage. The assassin. We're trying to save you from yourselves. Garrett's voice was hard. You're both so desperate to avoid conflict that you're willing to destroy everything our packs stand for. By killing innocents? Kira could barely speak past her rage. By betraying your own alphas? By doing what's necessary. Vera's eyes blazed with conviction. Your parents fought and died to keep Blackthorn independent. And you would throw that away for a Silvercrest wolf? It's obscene. It's survival. Kira shot back. Something you clearly don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. Vera smiled, cold and bitter. I understand that you've been seduced by pretty words and a handsome face. That you're willing to sell your birthright for a chance to play at peace. Damien moved to stand beside Kira, a united front. You're relieved of your duties. Both of you. You'll be tried by the full pack for treason. Will we? Garrett laughed. You think you can hold us? You think your precious merged pack will accept you once they know the truth? What truth? Kira's wolf snarled beneath her skin. That you're not really bonded at all. Vera's smile turned vicious. You haven't completed the mating. The bond isn't sealed. Any wolf with sense can feel the disconnect between you. This is all an act. Silence fell, heavy and damning. Because she was right. The cuffs, the ceremony, the declarations, they were just the beginning. Without the actual mating, the bond was incomplete. Breakable. Doesn't matter, Damien said quietly. The packs have accepted us. The council will recognize our claim. Your little rebellion is over. Is it? Garrett gestured, and suddenly wolves emerged from the shadows, at least a dozen, from both packs, all wearing expressions of grim determination. We have more support than you think. Wolves who remember what it means to have pride, who won't bow to this mockery of tradition. Kira counted quickly. They were outnumbered.
Badly. This ends now, Vera said. Step down. Both of you. Admit this was a mistake. Let the council dissolve the packs properly. Or we make you step down. It was a coup. A carefully planned, perfectly executed coup. And they'd walked right into it. Kira's mind raced. They could fight, probably should fight. But that would mean civil war, the exact thing they'd been trying to avoid. It would tear the merged pack apart before it even had a chance. Unless, you want proof the bond is real? The words left her mouth before she fully thought them through. Fine. We'll complete it. Right here. Right now. Damien's head whipped toward her. Kira. You heard them. They think this is fake. She met his eyes, trying to communicate everything she couldn't say aloud. So we show them it's not. We seal the bond. Then let's see them question our claim. Understanding flickered in his golden gaze, followed by something that looked like heat. Here. His voice was rough. Now.
Unless you're afraid. She raised her chin, challenging. Unless this was all political calculation for you, and nothing more. It was a gamble. A huge, terrifying gamble. Because completing the bond meant everything. It meant everything. Damien stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly, deliberately, he smiled. I'm not afraid. He closed the distance between them, ignoring their audience entirely. Are you? Terrified, she admitted. But I meant what I said at the stone circle. I'd rather risk this than guarantee our destruction. Then let's give them a show they'll never forget. He kissed her. Not gentle, not testing, but claiming, fierce and sure. One hand fisting in her hair while the other pulled her flesh against him. Kira gasped into his mouth, and he took the opportunity to deepen the kiss, his tongue stroking against hers in a way that made her knees weak. Power surged between them, real, undeniable. The bond, recognizing the intent, began to solidify. Around them, she heard shocked gasps, heard Vera's angry protest. But it all faded into background noise as the kiss went on, as Damien's hands mapped her body with possessive certainty, as her wolf rose up to meet his in recognition.
Mate.
Not just politics. Not just survival.
Mate.
When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Kira could feel the bond thrumming between them like a living thing. Incomplete still, that would require privacy, time, the actual completion of the mating, but infinitely stronger than before. Strong enough that every wolf in the room could feel it. Still think it's fake? Damien asked Vera, his voice a low rumble. Kira's aunt had gone pale. Garrett looked stricken. Because there was no faking the alpha bond. No pretending. What they'd just done had pushed them past the point of no return. This isn't over, Vera said, but her voice lacked conviction. Yes, Kira said firmly. It is. You have two choices. Accept this bond and rejoin the pack under our leadership. Or leave. Become rogues. Spend the rest of your lives running. She's right. Damien's arm wrapped around Kira's waist, holding her close. We're done playing games. Done tolerating rebellion. You're either with us or against us. Choose now. One by one, the wolves who'd been supporting the coup began to lower their eyes. To back away. Even facing down two alphas whose bond was still forming, the power rolling off Kira and Damien together was too much to challenge. Finally, Garrett knelt. I submit to your authority. Vera stood frozen a moment longer. Then, with a sound of disgust, she turned and walked away into the night. Kira almost called after her. Almost. But some wounds ran too deep. Some wolves couldn't be saved. Let her go, Damien murmured against her ear. We can't save everyone. I know, but it hurt anyway. As they made their way back to the pack house, surrounded by wolves who now looked at them with genuine respect tinged with awe, Kira realized what they'd done. They'd turned a political alliance into something real. And there was no going back. Chapter 6. The house was silent when they returned. Kira stood in the bedroom, still feeling the phantom pressure of Damien's lips on hers, still tasting him. The bond hummed beneath her skin, demanding completion. That was risky, Damien said from the doorway. She turned to find him watching her with an intensity that made her breath catch. It worked. Did it? He moved into the room, closing the door behind him. Or did we just make everything infinitely more complicated? I thought that's what you wanted. A real bond. Something the council can't question. I did. I do. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. But Kira, do you understand what we started tonight? What completing this bond means? I'm not an idiot, she snapped, defensive. I know the implications. Do you? He closed the distance between them. Because once we finish this, there's no undoing it. You'll be mine. I'll be yours. For life. Even if we come to hate each other. Even if this all falls apart. The bond is permanent. I know that. Then why are you shaking?
She was.
Damn it. She was trembling like a leaf, and he'd noticed. Because I'm terrified, she admitted. Because a week ago you were my enemy, and now I've kissed you in front of both our packs, and my wolf is screaming at me to finish what we started, and I don't know if that's the bond or if it's real, or if there's even a difference anymore." The words tumbled out in a rush, messy and honest. Damien stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. "It's not funny," she protested. "It's a little funny." But his expression softened. "Kira, I'm terrified too. This wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to fake it long enough to satisfy the council, then figure out how to coexist. But somewhere between the stone circle and that kiss, it became real for me. And that's not something I planned for." Her heart stuttered. "Real. I want you." The admission was stark, honest. "Not because of politics. Not because of the bond. I want you because you're fierce and stubborn and brilliant. Because you stood up to your own pack for what you believed was right. Because when you kissed me back tonight, it felt like coming home."
"Oh."
"Oh no. We can't," she whispered. "This is too fast. Too much." "I know." He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was tender, almost reverent. "Which is why I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight. And tomorrow night. For as long as you need. Because when we complete this bond, I want it to be your choice. Not because circumstances forced us. Not because the packs are watching. Your choice." Relief and disappointment warred in her chest. "You'd wait?" "I'd wait forever, if that's what you needed." His thumb brushed her cheek. "You're worth waiting for." The words hit like a physical blow. How was she supposed to maintain distance when he said things like that? When he looked at her like she was something precious? "Thank you," she managed. "Don't thank me yet. I'm still a terrible person who's going to do everything in my power to seduce you." "Oh, really?" Despite everything, she felt a smile tug at her lips. "And how exactly do you plan to do that?" His grin was pure wicked promise. "You'll see." The next morning, Kira woke to the smell of coffee and something burning. She stumbled downstairs to find Damien in the kitchen, scowling at a pan of what might have once been eggs. "I don't want to hear it," he said without looking up. "I wasn't going to say anything." She bit back a laugh. "But maybe next time you should." "I said I don't want to hear it." But his lips twitched. "Big bad alpha can't cook breakfast. This is going in my arsenal of blackmail material." "You're what now?" "My arsenal. For later. When you inevitably annoy me." She hip-checked him away from the stove and took over, scraping the burned eggs into the trash. "Go sit down before you burn the house down. Bossy. You have no idea." They fell into an easy rhythm, Kira cooking while Damien poured coffee and tried not to get in the way. It felt domestic. Normal. Like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. Like they were actually mates, and not just pretending. "We need to present ourselves to the council today," Damien said as they ate. "The deadline is sunset." Right. Kira had almost forgotten about the larger world beyond their bond drama. "What do we need to bring?" "Proof of integration. Numbers on the merged pack. A proposal for how we'll govern together."
He paused.
"And we need to look united."
"Convincing."
"So more public displays of affection?" "If you can handle it." She met his eyes across the table. "I think I can manage." The look he gave her was heat and promise and danger all rolled into one. Good. The council chamber was exactly as imposing as Kira remembered. Ancient stone, carved with symbols of the first packs, lit by torches that cast dancing shadows on the walls. 7 wolves sat in judgment, elders from the oldest bloodlines, their power palpable. Kira Blackthorn and Damien Silvercrest, the head counselor, intoned. "You stand before us to present your case for merged leadership. Speak." Damien stepped forward first, and Kira realized with a start that his hand had found hers, their fingers intertwined. Presenting a united front. "Honored council," he began, "we come before you not as enemies but as mates. Bound by choice, by ancient law, and by the needs of our packs." The deadline was moved up. One counselor interrupted. "You received our message?" "We did," Kira said smoothly. "After finding your messenger murdered on our territory, along with evidence of a coordinated coup attempt from within both packs. That caused a stir." The counselors exchanged sharp looks. "Explain," the head counselor demanded. Between them, Kira and Damien laid out everything: the rogue attacks, the sabotage, Vera and Garrett's betrayal, the revelation that someone had been trying to prevent their union from the beginning. "And you believe this conspiracy extends beyond your territory?" another counselor asked. "We believe someone with significant resources wanted our pacts to fail," Damien said carefully. "Someone who benefited from our continued division." The implication hung in the air. Someone perhaps in this very chamber. The head counselor's expression gave nothing away. "You have dealt with the traitors?" One submitted. "One left to become rogue," Kira answered. "We didn't pursue. We had more pressing concerns." "Your bond." It wasn't a question. "The cuffs you wear, traditional alpha bonding symbols. But the bond itself is incomplete," Damien finished.
"Yes.
"But it will be completed. We needed to present ourselves to you first, as required." "Bold," a female counselor murmured. "To come before us with an incomplete bond. To risk our judgment before making it permanent." "We trust in the rightness of our path," Kira said, "and in the ancient laws that recognize alpha bonding as sacred." Another long silence. Then the head counselor stood. "By the power vested in us by the ancient laws, we recognize the formation of Blood Moon Pack. We accept Kira Blackthorn and Damien Silvercrest as co-alphas, bound by mate right. Your territories are merged. Your packs are one." Relief flooded through Kira so strongly she swayed. Damien's hand tightened on hers, steady. However, the counselor continued, and Kira's heart sank. "The bond must be completed within one lunar cycle. If it is not, this decision will be reviewed. Are we understood?" "Perfectly," Damien said. "Then you are dismissed. May the moon light your path." They were halfway out of the chamber when Kira heard it, a whisper, barely audible, from one of the younger counselors. "If they survive that long." She glanced at Damien, saw that he'd heard it too. His expression was grim. They'd won the battle. But the war was far from over. That night, back at the pack house, they celebrated with both packs together. A feast, drinks, wolves from both sides mingling with cautious optimism. It wasn't perfect. There were still tensions, still old grudges. But it was a start. Kira found herself on the balcony, watching the festivities below, when Damien joined her. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked. "Just wondering if we actually pulled this off." She turned to face him. "One lunar cycle. That's 4 weeks to complete the bond or risk losing everything. Then we complete it." He moved closer, and in the moonlight, his eyes gleamed gold. "Unless you've changed your mind?" "Have you?" "Not even a little." He cupped her face in his hands, gentle despite his strength. "I meant what I said, Kira. I want you. All of you. Not because I have to. Because I choose to. Even though I'm stubborn and argumentative and probably going to drive you crazy. Especially because of that." His smile was soft, genuine. "You challenge me. Make me think. Make me better. That's not something I take for granted." Her breath caught. "Damien." "I'm not asking you to decide tonight," he said quickly. "Or tomorrow. Take the time you need. I'll wait." "What if?" She swallowed hard. "What if I don't want to wait?" His eyes darkened. "Then we don't." The kiss was different this time. Not desperate or public or for show. Just them, on a balcony under the full moon, finally admitting what had been building since that first confrontation at the border. This wasn't about politics anymore. This was about them. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Kira made her decision. "Take me inside," she whispered. "Let's finish this." Chapter 7. The bedroom door closed behind them with a soft click that sounded impossibly loud in the silence. Kira's heart hammered as Damien turned to face her, his eyes molten gold in the dim light. For a moment, neither moved. "Last chance to back out," he said softly. "I'm not backing out." She closed the distance between them, reaching up to cup his face. "I'm choosing this. Choosing you. Thank God." And then he was kissing her again, deep and claiming, walking her backward until her legs hit the bed. "Because I'm done pretending I don't want you. Done pretending this is just political." His hands found the hem of her shirt, and she helped him pull it over her head. Cool air hit her skin, followed immediately by the heat of his palms as he traced the curves of her waist, her ribs, higher. "You're beautiful," he breathed against her neck. "So damn beautiful." Kira fumbled with his shirt, yanking it off with less grace.
Didn't care.
She needed to feel his skin against hers, needed the completion the bond demanded. They fell onto the bed together, a tangle of limbs and desperate kisses. Every touch sent sparks through the incomplete bond, making her gasp, making her wolf howl with need. "Damien." "I know." His voice was rough as he kissed down her throat, her collarbone lower. "I feel it too. The bond. It's pulling me to you." "Then don't fight it." She arched into his touch. "Claim me." The words triggered something primal in him. His eyes flashed full wolf, and when he kissed her again, she tasted the wildness, the barely controlled need. "Mine," he growled against her lips. "Yours," she agreed. "And you're mine." The claiming, when it came, was fire and ice and everything in between. The bond snapped into place completely, permanently, binding them together in ways that transcended simple chemistry. Kira felt Damien in her mind, his emotions bleeding into hers. Desire, yes, but also wonder.
Awe.
Something that felt dangerously close to love. And she realized with startling clarity that she felt the same. Somewhere between enemy and ally, between political necessity and real choice, she'd fallen for him.
Completely.
Irrevocably. Later, tangled in sheets and each other, Damien traced lazy patterns on her skin. "No going back now," he murmured. "Nope." Kira felt too boneless, too satisfied to care. "We're stuck with each other. Terrible fate. The worst." But she smiled as she said it. He propped himself up on one elbow, studying her face. "I need to tell you something." Her stomach clenched. "That sounds ominous." "Not ominous. Just honest." He took a breath. "I didn't expect to fall for you. When I suggested this alliance, it was pure strategy. Survival. But somewhere along the way, maybe that first kiss, maybe before it stopped being fake, you stopped being the enemy and became everything." Emotion clogged her throat. "You can't just say things like that." "Why not? It's true." His thumb brushed her cheek. "I love you, Kira Blackthorn. Completely. Probably foolishly. But there it is." "You're an idiot," she whispered. "I know. Because I love you too. And it's terrifying." His smile was brilliant, transforming his whole face. Terrifying is good. Terrifying means it's real. She pulled him down for another kiss, slower this time, tender. And through the bond, she felt his joy mirror her own. They'd started as enemies. But they'd become something neither had expected. Something worth fighting for. Chapter 8. The morning after the bond completion, Kira woke to find Damien already awake, watching her with an expression that made her heart flutter. "Creepy," she mumbled, but couldn't suppress her smile. "Can't help it." His fingers traced the mate mark on her neck, a silvered scar in the shape of a crescent moon, visible proof of their bond. "Still can't believe this is real." Through the bond, she felt his contentment, his wonder, tangled with an undercurrent of worry. She sat up, suddenly alert. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Everything." He sighed, pulling her back against his chest. "I'm happy. Genuinely happy. Which means something's about to go catastrophically wrong." Optimist. Realist. But he pressed a kiss to her temple. "We should address the pack. Make it official that the bond is complete." "Do we have to tell them exactly how official?" She felt heat creep up her cheeks. His laugh rumbled through his chest.
"They'll know anyway."
Mate marks aren't subtle, and the bond's strong enough now that every wolf within a mile can feel it. He was right. Even she could sense the difference. The connection between them was a living thing, thrumming with energy and emotion. It was exhilarating and terrifying in equal measure. They dressed and headed downstairs to find Marcus already waiting, along with several senior wolves from both former packs. "Well," Marcus said, taking in their mate marks with raised eyebrows. "I guess that answers that question." "The bond is complete," Damien confirmed, his hand finding Kira's automatically. As of last night, Kira and I are fully mated. The council's deadline is satisfied. And the pack. This came from Lissa, Damien's scar hunter. How do we proceed with integration? Carefully, Kira answered. We've made progress, but forcing full integration overnight will only breed resentment. We need to. A commotion at the door cut her off. 2 patrol wolves burst in, supporting a third between them. A Blackthorn scout named Derek, bleeding from multiple wounds. Rogues, he gasped. At least 20. They hit the Eastern Patrol. Killed 2, wounded 5 more. They're heading toward the pack center. Kira's wolf surged forward. How long? 10 minutes. Maybe less. Derek's eyes were wide with pain and fear. Alpha, they were organized. Military precise. This wasn't random. Damien was already moving, barking orders. Lissa, take your team and reinforce the eastern flank. Marcus, evacuate the non-combatants to the safe house. Reese. Wait. Kira's hand on his arm stopped him. Through the bond, she pushed a realization. This is a diversion. He stared at her, then understanding dawned. The western border. Has to be. 20 rogues attacking head-on? That's suicide unless they're trying to pull our attention away from the real threat. Marcus swore. The old pack vault. All our records. Our histories. And the treaty documents. Damien finished grimly. If someone destroys those, they could claim our merger was never legitimate. Split our forces, Kira decided quickly. Damien, take half our fighters to the vault. I'll handle the eastern threat. Like hell. His hand tightened on hers. We're not splitting up. That's exactly what they want. Then what do you suggest? Through the bond, she felt him thinking, strategizing. Then, we trust our people. Marcus, you're my second. Take 20 wolves and secure the vault. Lissa, you're Kira's. Lead the eastern defense. We'll split between both locations, coordinating through the bond. It was risky, but it also showed faith in their merged pack, trusting wolves from both sides with critical missions. Do it, Kira ordered. And someone get Derek to the healer. The next hour was chaos. Kira fought alongside wolves she'd once considered enemies, their coordination improving with every passing minute. The rogues were well trained, but they hadn't counted on Bloodmoon's ferocity. Through the bond, she felt Damien engaged in his own battle at the vault. Felt his focus, his determination, the sharp spike of alarm when, behind you. She didn't know if she'd sent the warning or received it, but suddenly she was spinning, claws extended, catching the rogue who'd been sneaking up from her blind side. The wolf went down hard, and she pressed her advantage, her own wolf fully in control. I'm fine, Damien's voice echoed in her mind. But we've got a problem. What kind of problem? The kind with a council seal. Her blood ran cold, but she couldn't afford distraction. Not with 3 rogues circling, looking for an opening. She feinted left, dodged right, and used her smaller size to her advantage, darting under the largest rogue's guard and hamstringing him with precise efficiency. The other 2 hesitated, and in that moment of uncertainty, Lissa and 2 other Silvercrest wolves arrived as backup. Go, Lissa panted, blood streaking her face. We've got this. Your mate needs you. Kira didn't argue. She ran, shifting mid-stride, racing through the forest toward the vault. The bond pulled her like a compass, guiding her straight to Damien. She found him in human form, standing in the vault's entrance, staring at something on the ground. The bodies of rogues lay scattered around him, but it was clear the fight was over. Damien. She shifted back, approaching cautiously. He held up a piece of parchment, his expression carved from stone. This was on one of them. Orders, signed by Counselor Thorne. Kira took the document, her hand shaking. The words swam before her eyes, but the meaning was clear. Eliminate both alphas, destroy the treaty documents, and ensure Bloodmoon Pack never presents to the council again. Thorne, she whispered. He's the head counselor. Why would he? Because merged packs threaten the council's power structure, a new voice said from the shadows. They both spun, weapons ready, but the figure that emerged had her hands raised in surrender. "Aunt Vera. You." Kira's voice dripped venom. "You have about 3 seconds to explain why I shouldn't tear your throat out. Because I'm here to help." Vera moved slowly, carefully, her eyes never leaving Kira's. "I was wrong. About the merger, about you, about everything. And I've spent the last 3 weeks gathering evidence to prove it." "Convenient timing," Damien growled. "I know how it looks." Vera pulled a folder from her jacket, tossing it at Kira's feet. "But look at that, and tell me I'm lying." Kira picked up the folder, flipped it open, and felt the world tilt. Inside were dozens of documents, council communications, financial records, plans for territory seizures. And at the center of it all was Counselor Thorn, orchestrating the downfall of smaller packs to consolidate power. "He's been doing this for years," Vera said quietly. "Creating conflicts between packs, then using council authority to absorb the territories when they weaken. Blackthorn and Silvercrest were supposed to destroy each other. When you merged instead." She gestured at the carnage around them. This was his contingency. Through the bond, Kira felt Damien's rage mirror her own. They'd been pawns in a larger game. "Why bring this to us?" Damien asked. "Why not go to the council yourself?" "Because I'm a traitor and a rogue," Vera said bluntly. "No one would believe me. But you two? Newly mated alphas, survivors of multiple assassination attempts, with proof of council corruption? You might actually have a chance." Kira stared at her aunt, this woman who'd helped raise her, who'd betrayed her, who now stood before her offering redemption through treason against the council itself. "If we do this," she said slowly, "we'll be declaring war on the entire council structure." "Not the entire council," Vera corrected. "Just Thorn and his supporters. There are good wolves there too. Ones who'll stand with you, if you give them proof." "And you want what in return?" Damien's eyes were sharp. "Forgiveness? Reinstatement? Nothing." Vera's voice cracked. "I want my niece to survive. I want the pack, both packs, to have a future. I was wrong to fight the merger. I see that now. This is my chance to make it right." Silence stretched between them. Through the bond, Kira felt Damien's uncertainty matching her own. "What do you think?" she asked. "I think she's telling the truth," he replied. "Or at least what she believes is the truth. But trusting her is dangerous. Everything we've done has been dangerous." "Fair point." Kira made her decision. "You're still exiled. That doesn't change. But if you help us take down Thorn, if everything you've said checks out." She met her aunt's eyes. "We'll talk about the rest later." Relief flooded Vera's face. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." Kira gathered the documents, her mind already racing ahead. "We need to present this to the full council. Publicly. Where Thorn can't silence us, or make us disappear." "The Harvest Moon Gathering," Damien said suddenly. "It's in 2 weeks. Every pack, every council member, all in one place. Ancient law says any wolf can petition the council during the gathering. They have to hear us out. They also have to guarantee our safety during the petition," Vera added. "Sacred ground rules. Even Thorn won't violate those openly. Then that's our play." Kira looked between them. 2 weeks to gather more evidence, shore up our pack's defenses, and prepare to accuse a council elder of treason. "Should be simple," Damien said dryly. Through the bond, she felt his dark humor, his determination, and beneath it all, his absolute faith in her. "In them. We should get back," she said. "Check casualties, reinforce security." As they walked back toward the pack center, Vera trailing behind at a respectful distance, Damien's hand found hers. "You know this changes everything," he said quietly. "If we do this, if we go after Thorn, we're not just fighting for Blood Moon anymore. We're challenging the entire power structure." "I know." She squeezed his hand. Scared, terrified. "Me too." She smiled up at him. "But we'll do it anyway. Together. Always together." Chapter 9. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparation and paranoia. Kira stood in the war room, formerly her father's study, surrounded by maps, documents, and evidence they'd compiled against Counselor Thorne. Damien worked beside her, their bond humming with shared focus as they planned their strategy. "We need to account for every possible counterargument," Marcus said, pacing. "Thorne's going to claim the documents are forged, that Vera's testimony is tainted by her exile. That's why we need more witnesses." Lissa tapped a list of names. "I've made contact with 3 other packs that have experienced similar coincidental conflicts near their borders. They're willing to testify if we can guarantee their safety." "We can't guarantee anything," Damien said bluntly. "But we can offer them the same thing we're fighting for, truth and accountability." Through the bond, Kira felt his frustration. They were building a case, but it felt like trying to fight smoke. Thorne had decades of experience and countless allies. They had 2 weeks of evidence and a pack that was still learning to trust itself. "There's another problem," Reese spoke up from the corner. "Thorne knows we're coming. Those rogue attacks weren't just about killing us, they were about making us look weak. Unstable. Like our merger is failing. Then we show strength," Kira decided. "We bring our whole pack to the Harvest Moon gathering. United, coordinated, undeniable." "That's a risk," Marcus warned. "If this goes wrong, then we go down fighting." She met his eyes steadily. "But we don't hide. We don't cower. We show every pack, every council member, that Blood Moon is real, and we're not going anywhere." A knock on the door interrupted them. One of the younger wolves, Sarah, barely 18, poked her head in nervously. "Alphas? There's someone at the border. She says she needs to speak with you. Both of you." Kira and Damien exchanged glances. "Who?" he asked. She wouldn't give her name, but she's carrying a council messenger's seal. They found the messenger waiting at the stone circle, neutral ground, traditional for diplomatic meetings. She was older, gray-haired, with sharp eyes that assessed them both thoroughly. "Kira Blackthorn, Damien Silvercrest." She inclined her head respectfully. "I am Elena, personal assistant to Counselor Reeves. I come with a message and a warning." Reeves. Kira's mind raced. Reeves was one of the younger counselors, known for progressive views. "What does she want?" "To help you." Elena pulled out a sealed envelope. "My mistress has suspected Thorne's corruption for years, but she lacked proof. When word reached her of your plans to petition at the Harvest Moon gathering, she wanted you to have this." Damien took the envelope, broke the seal, and scanned the contents. His expression shifted from suspicion to shock. "These are financial records. Thorne's personal accounts, showing significant deposits from packs that mysteriously lost territory shortly after," Elena confirmed. "Counselor Reeves has been documenting his activities, waiting for the right moment to move against him. You two have provided that moment. Why should we trust her?"
Kira asked.
"Or you. You shouldn't. Trust no one in council politics. That's the first rule." Elena's smile was thin. "But Counselor Reeves offers you something valuable, an ally on the inside. When you make your petition, she'll support you.
Publicly.
That will force others to take your accusations seriously." Through the bond, Kira felt Damien's cautious optimism. An ally on the council changed everything. "Tell Counselor Reeves we accept her assistance," he said formally. "And her evidence." "I will. But she sends one more warning." Elena's expression turned grave. "Thorne knows you're building a case. He's planning to move against you before the gathering. Expect an attack within the week." Ice slid down Kira's spine. "What kind of attack?" "Unknown. But he has resources you can't imagine. Be vigilant. Trust your bond. And whatever happens, survive until the Harvest Moon. That's when we can end this." She left as quickly as she'd arrived, disappearing into the forest like smoke. "Well," Damien said into the silence. "That was ominous." "You think it's legitimate?" Kira studied the documents Elena had left. "Or another trap?" "I think Reeves has always been an outlier on the council. If anyone would move against Thorne, it'd be her." He tucked the papers into his jacket. "But Elena was right about one thing. We need to be ready for anything." The attack came 3 days later, in the worst way possible. Kira was in the training yard, working with a mixed group of Blackthorn and Silvercrest wolves on coordination drills, when Marcus came running. Kira, we have a problem. She shifted immediately to full alert. What kind? Someone poisoned the water supply. Half the pack house is sick, vomiting, fever, can't shift. It's spreading fast. Horror crashed over her. How many affected? 20 so far. Maybe more. Marcus's face was ashen. And Damien. Her heart stopped. Through the bond, she reached for her mate and found only fog. Confusion. Weakness. Where is he? Pack house. Second floor. Kira, the healer says it's wolfsbane extract. Lethal in high doses, especially to alphas. She was already running. She found Damien in their bedroom, barely conscious, his skin burning with fever. The mate mark on his neck was inflamed, angry red against pale skin. Hey, he managed, his voice rough.
Sorry.
Guess I should have checked the water. Don't you dare apologize. She knelt beside the bed, taking his hand. Through the bond, she could feel the poison working through his system, could feel how hard his body was fighting. The healer's coming. You're going to be fine. Liar. But he squeezed her fingers weakly. Kira, if I don't make it, stop. You're not dying. I won't allow it. So bossy. His eyes drifted closed. Love that about you. The healer arrived with Aunt Vera close behind, both carrying supplies. Akira's surprise at seeing her aunt barely registered past the fear. Wolfsbane. Vera asked the healer, who nodded grimly. Advanced poisoning. He needs the antidote now, but we don't have enough for everyone affected. We have to prioritize. Give it to the others, Damien said, his voice stronger than it should be. I'm Alpha. I can fight this longer.
No.
Kira's voice cracked like a whip. You're getting the antidote. That's an order. Kira, we need both our alphas alive, Vera interrupted, her voice surprisingly gentle. But there might be another way. The bond between you two, it's new, strong. Kira could share her strength through it, keep Damien stable while we synthesize more antidote.
How? Kira demanded.
Open the bond completely. Let your wolf energy flow into him. It'll drain you, but it might be enough to keep him alive. The healer nodded slowly. It's possible. Risky for you, but possible. Kira didn't hesitate. Tell me what to do. For the next 6 hours, Kira poured everything she had into Damien through their bond. She felt the poison in his system as if it were her own, felt his pain, his weakness. But she also felt his fierce determination to survive, his absolute refusal to leave her. Stay with me, she whispered through the bond. Don't you dare leave me, Damien Silvercrest. Wouldn't dream of it. His mental voice was faint but stubborn. Still have to dance at our bonding ceremony. We already had our bonding. That was private. I want public. Want everyone to see how lucky I am. Tears tracked down her face as she held him, as she fought to keep him alive through sheer will and the strength of their bond. By dawn, the healer had synthesized enough antidote for everyone. By mid-morning, Damien's fever had broken. By afternoon, he was sitting up, weak but alive, his hand never leaving hers. You saved me, he said quietly. We saved each other. She pressed her forehead to his. That's what mates do. Marcus appeared in the doorway. We found the source. Someone tampered with the reservoir during the shift change. Guards are reporting a wolf matching Garrett's description near the site. Garrett. Damien's voice turned cold. He's still working with Thorn. And he just escalated from sabotage to attempted murder, Kira finished. Through the bond, she felt Damien's rage mirror her own. We need to move up our timeline. Can't wait for the harvest moon. Thorn will just keep attacking until he succeeds. What are you suggesting? Vera asked from the doorway. We go to the council.
Now. Today.
Force an emergency session using Elena's evidence and what just happened here. Kira stood, still shaky but determined. Thorn tried to commit mass murder. We have witnesses. We have proof. If we move fast, we can catch him off guard. That's insane, Marcus protested. Half our pack is still recovering. You can barely stand, and Damien is fine, Damien interrupted, pushing himself to his feet. He swayed once, caught himself, and straightened with visible effort. And Kira's right. We go now while the evidence is fresh, while the outrage is real. We need to send word to Counselor Reeves, Vera said. Let her know we're coming. No time, Kira decided. We go now. We bring everyone who can travel. We show up at the council chamber, and we demand justice. Through the bond, she felt Damien's fierce pride. That's my mate. Our pack, she corrected. Our fight. Together. Always. Chapter 10. The council chamber had never seen anything like it. 50 wolves from Blood Moon Pack, Blackthorn and Silvercrest united, crowded into the ancient hall, their presence impossible to ignore. At their head stood Kira and Damien, mate marks visible, the bond between them practically crackling with power. Counselor Thorn sat in his elevated seat, his expression carefully neutral, but Kira caught the flash of surprise in his eyes. He hadn't expected them so soon. Good. This is highly irregular, Thorn began, his voice carrying across the chamber. The council is not in session. You have no right. We have every right. Kira's voice rang out, amplified by alpha authority. Under ancient law, any wolf may petition the council in matters of life and death. We invoke that right. Now. Murmurs rippled through the other counselors. Reeves, a sharp-featured woman with silver-streaked hair, leaned forward with obvious interest. State your petition, she said formally. Damien stepped forward, still weak from the poisoning, but standing tall. We come before you to accuse Counselor Thorn of treason, conspiracy, attempted murder, and corruption of his sacred office. The chamber erupted, wolves shouting, counselors demanding order, Thorn on his feet roaring denials. Enough! Reeves's voice cut through the chaos. When silence fell, she fixed Kira and Damien with a penetrating stare. These are serious accusations. Do you have proof? We do. Kira signaled, and Marcus came forward carrying a box of documents. Everything they'd compiled over 2 weeks, plus Elena's financial records and new evidence from the poisoning. Counselor Thorn has been orchestrating conflicts between packs for decades, creating crises, then using council authority to absorb weakened territories. This is absurd. Thorn's face had gone red. I am head of this council. I've served for 30 years with honor. You've served yourself. Damien cut him off. And when Blood Moon Pack merged, instead of destroying each other as you planned, you sent assassins. Rogues. And when that failed, you ordered our water supply poisoned with wolfsbane. 20 wolves nearly died. I nearly died. You have no proof. Actually, we do. Vera stepped forward from the crowd, and Kira saw Thorn's face go pale. I spent 3 weeks tracking your operation, Counselor. Your communications with Garrett, your payments to rogue packs, your plans to eliminate both Blackthorn and Silvercrest alphas. I have everything. She dropped a second box of documents on the chamber floor, papers spilling out like accusations. You're a traitor. Thorn spat at her. Exiled. Your testimony means nothing. Perhaps, Reeves said coldly, rising from her seat. But mine does. The room went utterly silent. I've been investigating you for 5 years, Thorn, Reeves continued, her voice steel. Watching your schemes, documenting your corruption. I've been waiting for proof solid enough to bring you down. These young alphas just handed it to me. She turned to the other counselors. I call for an emergency vote. Counselor Thorn must be removed and tried for his crimes. You can't, Thorn started. I can. I am. All in favor? One by one, hands rose. 5 out of 7 counselors. Thorn's expression twisted with rage. You think this is over? You think removing me changes anything? There are others. Wolves who agree with my methods. Who understand that strong centralized control is the only way to maintain order. This rebellion will be crushed. Maybe, Damien said quietly, moving to stand beside Kira. But not today. And not by you. Guards moved forward, removing Thorn's council seal, binding his hands. As they led him away, he locked eyes with Kira one last time. "You've won nothing," he hissed. "You've only started a war." When he was gone, Reeves addressed the chamber. "Let it be known that Councillor Thorn has been removed from office and will stand trial for crimes against Pack law. Blood Moon Pack's merger is recognized as legitimate and will not be challenged." She turned to Kira and Damien. "You two have shown remarkable courage. The Council owes you a debt." "We don't want a debt," Kira said. "We want reform. No more secret schemes. No more manufactured conflicts. The Council should serve Packs, not control them." "Agreed." Reeves smiled slightly. "I have a feeling the next few years will be very interesting. With your permission, I'd like to propose several new council members. Wolves with fresh perspectives." "Like who?" Damien asked. "Like you two." The offer hung in the air, shocking in its implications. Through the bond, Kira felt Damien's surprise matching her own. Council membership meant power, influence, the ability to shape Pack law for generations. It also meant politics, bureaucracy, and endless meetings. "What do you think?" she asked through the bond. "I think we've come this far. Might as well finish the job." She smiled. "We'll consider it. But we're not leaving Blood Moon. Our Pack comes first." "As it should," Reeves agreed. "Think about it. Let me know." As they filed out of the chamber, surrounded by their Pack, Kira felt the weight of what they'd accomplished settle over her. They'd exposed corruption at the highest levels. They'd protected their Pack. They'd changed the entire political landscape. And they'd done it together. Marcus clapped Damien on the shoulder. "So, council members? That's one hell of a promotion from enemies trying to kill each other." "We're overachievers," Damien said dryly. Vera approached hesitantly, her eyes on Kira. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness. What I did, how I betrayed you." "You came back," Kira interrupted. "When it mattered, you came back. You brought us evidence. You stood with us." She took a deep breath. "I'm not ready to forget. But maybe we can work on forgiving." Tears shone in Vera's eyes. "That's more than I deserve." "Probably." Kira's smile was slight but genuine. "But your family. And family gets second chances." "Third chances," Marcus muttered. "Let's be honest." "Third chances," Kira agreed. "Welcome back, Aunt Vera. Let's go home." 6 months later, the Blood Moon Pack celebration was in full swing, the territory that had once been divided now thriving as one unified whole. Kira stood on the balcony of the Pack house, their Pack house now, filled with wolves from both former Packs living in genuine harmony, and watched the festivities below. Pups played together, without caring which Pack their parents had come from. Warriors trained in mixed groups. Hunters coordinated seamlessly. They'd done it. Actually done it. Strong arms wrapped around her from behind, and she leaned back into Damien's warmth, feeling the bond between them hum with contentment. "Penny for your thoughts?" he murmured against her ear. "Just thinking about how far we've come. 6 months ago, I wanted to tear your throat out. And now I'm stuck with you forever." But her smile was radiant. Funny how things work out. Below, Marcus was arguing good-naturedly with Lissa about patrol routes. Vera was helping with the food preparation, slowly rebuilding trust with the Pack. Reese and Sarah were demonstrating fighting techniques to a group of younger wolves.
Peace.
Actual, genuine peace. "I have something for you," Damien said, pulling back slightly. "Another political crisis? Because I thought we'd filled our quota." "Better." He turned her to face him, his expression suddenly serious. "The council approved our request." Kira's heart skipped. "They did. We officially have the authority to create a training program for merged Packs, to help other territories integrate without the warfare and chaos we went through." His eyes gleamed. "We can make what we did here a model for everyone." That's... She couldn't find words. They'd proposed the program 2 months ago, hoping to prevent other Packs from facing the same conflicts they had. "That's incredible. There's more." He pulled a small box from his pocket, and Kira's breath caught. "I know we're already bonded. Mated. All the official wolf stuff is done. But humans have their traditions too, and I wanted. He opened the box, revealing a simple silver ring etched with forest patterns. Kira Blackthorn, will you marry me? Human ceremony, with cake and terrible dancing and all our friends watching? Will you let me embarrass myself with a public declaration of how completely I've fallen for you? Tears blurred her vision. Through the bond, she felt his nervousness, his hope, his overwhelming love. You're such an idiot, she whispered. Is that a yes? Of course it's a yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that sent sparks through their bond. Below, someone had noticed, probably Marcus, because cheers erupted from the party. When they broke apart, both grinning like fools, Damien rested his forehead against hers. I love you, he said simply. My enemy, my partner, my mate, my everything. I love you too. She kissed him again, softer this time. Even if you do steal all the blankets. I do not. You absolutely do. Well, you snore. I do not. They were still arguing, laughing, perfectly happy, when their pack flooded onto the balcony to congratulate them. Marcus swept Kira into a hug, spinning her around. Vera hugged Damien with tears streaming down her face. Lissa and Reese started a betting pool on how long until pups arrived. And through it all, Kira felt the bond between her and Damien, stronger than ever, a constant reminder that sometimes enemies become allies, become friends, become mates. Sometimes the wolf you're supposed to hate is the one you're meant to love. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in standing alone, but in standing together. That night, long after the party had wound down and most of the pack had gone to bed, Kira and Damien stood at the border stone, the marker that had once divided Blackthorn and Silvercrest territory. Should we take it down? Damien asked, running his hand over the weathered surface.
No.
Kira laced her fingers with his. Leave it. As a reminder. Of what? Of where we started. How far we've come. She smiled up at him in the moonlight. Of the fact that borders are just lines until you choose to cross them. Philosophical. I like it. I have my moments. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the moon rise over their united territory. In the distance, wolves howled. Not in warning or challenge, but in celebration. In unity, Blood Moon Pack. Born from enemies.
Forged in fire.
Bound by love. Ready for the next adventure? Damien asked, pulling her close. Through the bond, Kira felt his excitement, his hope, his absolute certainty that whatever came next, they'd face it together. Always, she said. As long as you're with me. Forever, he promised. And then some. And under the blood moon's silver light, two wolves who had once been enemies sealed their future with a kiss. Partners, alphas, mates. Together. Always together.
The end.